Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. This coming from Chad Steingraber with BTC at new all-time highs. Take a look at what the M2 is showing us. So guys, this is the M2 money supply versus the Bitcoin price. On the left here, we have M2 in the trillions. And guys, in the orange, that is the Bitcoin price. Look at how well it correlates here. It says down here, convergence would imply a Bitcoin price of about $167,000 in about 102 days. Now, this is just one metric. We obviously don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. Nevertheless, this is how Bitcoin rolls. And look at the gold versus the Bitcoin price. So obviously we have seen higher prices for gold as well. And that has just been consistent for the last few years now. Let's bring up Bitcoin right now. As you guys can see, I've got Bitcoin up here on the hourly. And let me just throw a price label on that brand new all-time high of $125,700 per coin. Bitcoin did get rejected from that area, and now we're slowly climbing back up again. It is looking very promising, though. I think we're going to get up at least to that level, and we're getting very close, guys, to the end of the four-year cycle, if you do still believe in four-year cycle theory. Fear and greed is now at 59, so it's still in neutral. We're still not in the green yet, but it's at 59, so it's climbing a little bit. Market cap is up to $4.24 trillion. That's up by 0.86%. We got the CMC 20, that's up by about 0.75%. And we're seeing a mix right now. Bitcoin up about 0.75%. Ethereum's up by 0.62%. XRP is actually down in the last 24 hours, but not by much. 0.75%. A lot of these coins are up and down. Just a mixed bag at the moment. We aren't seeing a lot of movement right now in the space. No huge liquidity push, at least not as of yet, but there are several signs to suggest, kind of like this one, to suggest that we could go higher. Okay, so Bitcoin did reach that new high. Let's throw this on the daily, and I'm just going to show you now where we are at. So on the daily, we did reach a new high for Bitcoin back on July the 14th. As you guys can see, the highs were not significantly higher than the former highs, again, on August the 14th, and then we just hit another one on Sunday, October the 5th. So this is interesting because if we look at these highs, guys, let's just throw a couple more lines on there. Okay, so we look at these highs. We had 123,002, then we had 124,005, and now we're at 125,007. So we're getting up slowly, but we're not actually breaking up with conviction. We are testing this level, and now we have tested it 3 times. I have a pretty good feeling we will blast up through this, but guys, we have to pay attention to some other factors. The Kobasi letter did post this. The U.S. market is on fire. So macro markets, the market cap of U.S. stocks relative to the U.S. M2 money supply, which again was back in here, that hit 305%, the highest since the year 2000. Over the last 3 years, this percentage has grown a whopping 125 points. This has officially now surpassed the pre-2008 financial crisis peak of about 290%. So just to put things into perspective, by comparison, the dot-com peak was about 370%. To reach such a level, the U.S. stock market would need to grow another 21%, assuming a constant M2 money supply. We are now witnessing an historic run. So U.S. stock market cap to M2 hits 305% in quarter 3 of 2025. You guys can see it in there. And remember these other indications here, 2000, that was the dot-com bubble, 2008, global financial crisis. And guys, we're getting up to those levels. So we're above 2008. And this is just it, right? After we do hit these peaks, what happens after that? Boom, a huge crash to the downside. So we have to be careful. And for more information on how I'm treating this bull run, where my crypto targets are, whether that's for XRP, for Bitcoin, or my other cryptocurrencies, you can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. It is only $5 a month, but you got to subscribe and stay subscribed to lock into that price. It's starting to look very toppy. And guys, it is October the 6th, 2025. So getting, close to the end of that 4-year cycle, if you guys still do believe in that. Lynn here posting this. The last time the NASDAQ was up for 7 months in a row, it was 2017. So what happened after that? Of course, in 2018, we did, at least for crypto, we did see a collapse. Let's just take a look at the NASDAQ here. See if we can see any correlation. 7 months in a row, 2017 for the NASDAQ. which would have brought us right in, no, that was 2020. When was that? Well, even in 2020, you guys can see all those months in a row where we did see green months. Then we did see a correction in 2022. I don't think this metric is as important as some of these other ones. M2 money supply being a big one. Nevertheless, wanted to thank Lynn and the Cabesi letter and Chad Steingraber just for posting those. Something else that I want you guys to pay attention to, silver is also up by 63% in 2025 and worth a whopping $2.7 trillion. Guys, this is also nearly a record high. Meanwhile, Bitcoin casually hit a record of 125,000 on Saturday night. And gold made 39 all-time highs in 2025, all while the S&P 500 is still one of the best 6-month runs in history. S&P 500 is on one of its best 6-month runs in history. Own assets or be left behind. So Cabesi letter suggesting that you should own assets. If we just take a look at some of these metrics here, silver made this new high, or at least is touching this former high that we saw, or just surpassed the former high that we saw in 1980. So hopefully that continues on that epic run. We already talked about Bitcoin, and the S&P 500 is also on a massive run. So the SPYs, S&P 500 also on that massive run. Let's take a look at XRP real quickly. XRP still doing what it's supposed to be doing, in my opinion, following Bitcoin. We are still in a spec rally. So XRP is pretty much just still following Bitcoin. We still do have to see what Bitcoin does before we can make any kind of moves on these altcoins. Right now, one XRP just shy of $3 per coin. But that could change in an instant. I wouldn't be surprised if XRP outperformed what Bitcoin futures did. Guys, this is Steve McClurg. He was being interviewed by Paul Barron the other day. Listen to this.
Yeah, well, that's what was it, like 3.2 billion in the first, right, 3 billion in one day. So the capacity there for an ETF of seeing in excess of 5 billion in a month for XRP, you feel is underreported.
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's a very safe bet, in my opinion. I certainly think that. I mean, let's go kind of back in time when we launched Bitcoin futures when I was with another firm. Mm-hmm. The first day there was over $1 billion in inflows, which made it at the time one of the top 10 of all time. Yeah. Second Bitcoin futures ETF to launch was still like number 14 of all time at 100 million. So, and that's just day one. So if you think what Bitcoin futures did, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if XRP outperforms what Bitcoin futures did. It's not going to have the same level as Bitcoin, obviously, right. But if it was $1 billion in one day, I mean, I think XRP does 2 or 3 billion day one.
Interesting. Well, and the performance of futures has been pretty significant for XRP. So if that's any indicator, obviously that could be huge in general.
So 2 to 3 billion on day one for XRP. Steve McClurg does think that XRP could outperform Bitcoin's futures performance when Bitcoin was launched. All interesting points here. Wanted to thank Digital Asset Buy for that last one. Cypress Domenicor here posting this. The mask is off. For years, crypto's been pushed to the sidelines and dismissed by the Fed. It's been ignored by regulators and mocked by institutions. But today, the biggest organizations in the world aren't hiding it anymore in this global shift. So what he's showing us here, guys, this is now the stance of global institutions. Crypto's journey from the fringes to the financial mainstream is now undeniable. Once dismissed as a counterculture fad, which I think some of you guys were probably here when I started the channel, it was still feeling that way. Crypto is now maturing into a widely accepted asset class. President Trump's pro-crypto stance, proposals for a U.S. Bitcoin reserve, and the EU's rollout of MiCA regulations all underscore this global shift. So we are seeing this, and around the world, we've been seeing it even more. So he just mirrors that sentiment here. U.S. Bitcoin reserves, MiCA regulations are rolling out, of course. Asia legalizing and taxing crypto gains to countries driving grassroots adoption. Every major region is aligning around the same reality. Digital assets are here to stay, and they're shaping the future of finance. Entire nations, regulators, and billion-dollar platforms are acknowledging that crypto is now a mainstream asset class. If you're still waiting for confirmation, and he puts that in quotes, that the world is moving on chain, 2025 was it. The question is, are you positioned for it. So then he posts some more information here regarding ISO 20022 standard, safe custody, proof of reserves, FIU registration, and I will link this in the description if you guys are ready. I think we are about to see something very exciting, and if you hold XRP and you hold even just 5,000 XRP, guys, you are in the 0.02% of people in the world. Think about this for a second. The GOAT, the ISO GOAT posting this, think about it. 0.02% of people in the world have more than 5,000 XRP. So if you have a stadium full of 100,000 people, and that's a big stadium, only 20 have more than 5,000 XRP. Not 20,000, 20 people. So this is, he took this from Kurt, okay? This shows how few people own XRP, math to show you how truly blessed you are. About 8 billion people in the world, and global crypto adoption is at around 7%, okay? So that equals about 560 million people in crypto. Out of that 560, the percentage of XRP investors in the market is about 4.75%, which comes to about, which is about 26.6 million. Within the 26.6 XRP investors, only 93% of XRP wallets have more than 5,000 XRP. So 7% of the 26.6 XRP investors equals about 1.862 million investors. That's who has over 5,000 XRP. So to see how that compares, only 20 in about 100,000 as per the ISO GOATS calculation here have more than 5,000 XRP. So guys, if you know, you know, and I think we're getting very close to that blow off top. Again, for more information on how I'm treating this crypto bull run, you can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. Wanted to thank the ISO GOAT and Cypress Domenicor for posting that. And then there's this. We've got to be ready for what's happening when it comes to real-world adoption. When Ripple steps into the arena, Chad Steingraber reminding us Ripple bank charter decision is due this October. This was circulating around. It was Stuart Alderati and Tim Kearney. I believe it is, Timothy Kearney, Keeney. Now, I want to remind you guys, this is from the PolySign website, and this is just one of Tim Keeney's positions that he's held. Tim Kearney, vice chairman, along with the CEO, Jack McDonald, previously the CEO of Conifer Financial. Of course, we know Jack McDonald is now in charge of stablecoins over there at Ripple. We've got David Schwartz as a board member too, and the founder of the XRP Ledger, Arthur Brito, along with Tim Kearney, guys, retired vice chairman of BNY Mellon, head of asset processing and global markets. And he's signing off here, just another individual signing off here on Ripple's OCC certification for that banking license. So that occurred on June the 30th, and we are to expect this decision coming this month. Hopefully, I mean, fingers crossed. Ripple's interagency charter application to establish Ripple's National Trust Bank filed with the U.S. Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, or the OCC. So just a little bit more information about that, and I will link all this in the description, as I usually do, of the video if you guys are interested. So there's some more information here. And so, yeah, that's correct. The SEC is in discussions about custody, and once the custody framework has been greenlit, the path forward is much clearer for Ripple, Circle, Coinbase, and others. So with regards to, so this is an extension of that banking license. We have that green light needed for crypto custody. Here's a clip of SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce explaining just that.
We should use this moment as an opportunity to consider a principles-based custody framework for broker-dealers, investment advisors, and investment companies that can accommodate technological change and a wide range of assets. Perhaps registrants should be able to use custodians other than traditional financial institutions. Perhaps advisors with the technical ability to do so should be able to custody crypto assets themselves, a practice known as self-custody, although very different from an investor custodying assets for herself. Self-custody by investment advisors would have to be paired with measures that would protect client assets from unscrupulous and careless advisors. And perhaps exchanges should be able to custody customer assets to facilitate trading. But as past events have demonstrated, on-exchange custody carries risks. To increase the ranks of qualified custodians, the SEC could provide more clarity around whether and how state trust companies can serve as qualified custodians, as contemplated by the Investment Advisors Act. The renewed willingness of the Office of the Comptroller of Currency in the United States to allow banks to provide crypto custody may increase the ranks of qualified custodians. Technology may help address or mitigate concerns previously addressed through regulation. Perhaps the clearest example is that distributed ledger technology allows market participants to transact at scale without reliance on a custodian or any other intermediary. even where an investor prefers to use a custodian, which I suspect will be the case for many institutional investors who may be required to do so. This technology may mitigate information asymmetry and other issues through its transparency. Investors will be able to verify assets held by a custodian in real time. Proof of reserves, audits, and the transparency of the blockchain help combat the opaqueness that typically characterizes custody arrangements. But they're not a silver bullet. Custodied assets may be off-chain and omnibus wallets, on-chain and privacy-protecting ways, bridged to another chain, or deployed in staking or DeFi protocols. Moreover, a custodian with nefarious intent can provide a misleading snapshot. My custody of other people's plants offers an embarrassingly apt analogy. In an effort of which I'm now deeply ashamed, about 30 years ago, I contorted myself to take photos of the live remnants of an otherwise dead tree to ease my friend's mind about the status of her treasured tree that she had left in my care. Similarly, a proof that offers a temporal snapshot of assets being custodied may tell a customer little about how safe her assets really are.
Kind of a bizarre analogy at the end there. Regardless, we are seeing this in motion, guys. And then Ripple, Circle, Coinbase, Paxos, all these companies are going to be able to custody crypto. And we could see this decision as early as this month. That has been the timeline. However, as Ripple Bull Winkle points out, this could get blocked by the government shutdown. Listen to this.
Ripple filed for a national trust bank. Yes, a bank. That ruling was set for October, but thanks to the government shutdown, it is now delayed. And here's where it gets suspicious, because a national trust bank charter, it would put Ripple inside the heart of the US financial system. We're talking about Federal Reserve level access. So was this shutdown just conveniently timed to slow walk this? To buy more time for Ripple before they become federally recognized as a bank? This isn't just about XRP being a coin. This is about Ripple becoming part of the US banking backbone. They know what's happening, and they don't want it to happen too fast. So not only is the banking charter delayed, but now the ETFs are delayed as well, and David Schwartz has stepped down as CTO. A lot of things are starting to line up, and then you look at who's attending Ripple's Swell event. You got to start connecting the dots.
That's right. A lot of things here are lining up, and it is looking very interesting. You know, at a point in time, we would have looked at David Schwartz stepping down as a negative thing, but considering how successful Ripple has been over these last few years, and now that they are in fact filing for that banking license, the narrative is looking very different than it has before. The ETFs are also being delayed. October is shaping up to be a strange month. Hopefully, we do see some more price appreciation. Luckily for us, Bitcoin is moving, and that is likely going to bring altcoins up along with it. That's just my opinion. And for more opinions on where I think the market's going to go for this particular bull run, because it is different. In certain ways it is, in other ways it isn't. But you can come over and sign up to the Patreon, only $5 a month, to hear what we're talking about over there. I did just put out a big announcement yesterday for my Patreon subscribers. So come check it out, patreon.com/Working Money Channel. It is only $5 a month if you subscribe and stay subscribed. Guys, I also have the Working Money Channel merch store. The link is in the description of the video. If you guys are interested in, maybe purchasing some Working Money Channel merch, help support the channel in a different way. Every little bit counts. And I thank all of you guys for helping support the channel in this particular way. Check it out if you're interested. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.